Welcome to Ali, the Fascia Lift Method. So first things first, you want to start off with clean skin, and I always like to use a little bit of facial oil. You can use a face cream, so you've got a bit of slip and glide, so you're not compromising the skin by dragging or pulling. So placing onto the face, and not forgetting the neck, and just down by the sides of the ears and down by the collarbone, down past the neck here. Now let's first of all start with our 4 pillars. The first pillar is a little bit of blood flow and circulation. So starting with fingers, I like to use the pads of the fingers. Let's just do a little bit of facial tapping just to get blood flow and circulation to the facial area. And then the second pillar is going to be our facial fascia exercises here. Now we're going to start with the jawline, then we're going to go on to the cheekbone, masseter muscle, and then the forehead area, and then finishing off with the all-important lymphatic drainage release. So we want to place one hand as an anchor, just so we're not compromising the skin by dragging or pulling at it. And we're going to place our finger, make it into a hook shape, and then from the chin, this is a light to medium touch. You want to work all along the jawline. And we're unsticking any tight fascia onto the bone, giving it some space. This will also allow for oxygen blood flow to the area as well. And you want to work all the way along, nice and slow. The slower the better. And then when you get to hinge just by the bottom of the ear, just give it a little wiggle to really help with the lymphatics. And then on the other side, taking our hand as an anchor, other finger as a hook, and just very slowly, light to medium touch, unstick any of this tight fascia along the mandible here. Now you can do these fascia exercises from the Fascia Lift Method 2 or 3 times a week, and you should find within a couple of months you'll feel a huge difference in the face. And then when we get to that end part, again by the ear, just give it a little wiggle out, and then just come up and across, just massaging that out. So let's now work on the cheekbone area, because again, we hold emotions within the face, the cheekbone area. This is what drags everything down, including those smile lines and jowls. So we're going to place a hand onto our nose, again as a hook, and we're going to work under the cheekbone. Again, nice and slow, unsticking any tight fascia on the bone, allowing for more space. If you like, you can, if you have a certain area you feel the area is slightly more stuck on, you can always go back to it and do it a few more times. Again, just a little wiggle there, and then finger as an anchor all the way along under that cheekbone. Slowly, slowly. So you don't want to be stretching at the skin, and because you've put a great oil on or a facial cream, again, you're almost double bubbling, because whatever you apply is also going to penetrate in better and deeper as well. And this gives a little wiggle, remembering again to keep the face nice and relaxed. So now let's work on the nose area, again from those smile lines, the jowl lines, the lower part of the face. Just taking our finger either side of the nostril here, we just have some indentations. I like to do a few gentle presses first, and then just massage in a round circular motion, nice and light to begin with, and then you can go in then a little bit deeper. And when this area is tight, again, this just creates those smile lines, nasolabial folds, laugh lines. This is where they start to kind of begin and then work their way down to the jawline. So you want to release this area, and then just work in another circular motion the other way. And with the fingers just gliding under the cheekbone towards the ears. So let's now work on the forehead area here. Also those frown lines and those eyebrows which come down on the forehead, particularly if we're stressed, we're scrunching our face and everything again starts to drag down. So you want to lift everything up. So placing our hand on the bridge of the nose here, taking the finger as a hook. Again, we're just working slowly, light to medium touch, all along the forehead. And then once we get to the scalp, give it another little wiggle, and then start to work our way from the eyebrow. Remembering to keep the shoulders nice and relaxed as well, and also in alignment with your head, so you're not hunching too forward. So we're getting maximum blood flow and circulation to the neck and the head area. It's very easy to hunch over. If you can do this in a mirror, it's good as well. You can actually sort of see what you're doing. It makes it slightly easier. And then just at the tip of the eyebrow, and then on the other side, again, hand as an anchor, other finger as a hook, and very slowly working our way all the way along. Coming very nice and light. Now, if you like, on our third pillar, while we're doing these exercises, it's all about breath. So you can actually take a few gentle, deep belly breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. This will also help with calming down the nervous system, as well as helping with blood flow and oxygen to the neck and the head area. Nice and deep exhale, and in through the nose, out through the mouth. And then we're going to take the pads of the fingers, and where our the hairline, the scalp is, so I'm just going to mess up the hair slightly, place it onto the scalp, and let's just move backwards and forwards, releasing any scalp tension here, any fascia, tight fascia within the scalp. And again, this is what draws everything down. So if you have a tight scalp, you're going to have more fine lines and wrinkles on the forehead, and also more heavy brow. So we're releasing all this to lift everything up. And then work in the opposite direction. And then round circular motions one way, and then the other. And then gently release. So we've done the 3 pillars of our fascia, the fascia lift method. So the first pillar was doing blood flow, circulation. The second pillar was doing the actual fascial work on the bone. And then the third pillar was all about breath, deep belly breathing, and in through the nose, out through the mouth to really help blood flow and circulation to the area. So the fourth one is again really important, and that's the final lymphatic drainage. We moved a lot of things around the facial area, and now we need to release that so all those toxins and waste can go into the rest of the body. So we're starting from the forehead, interconnecting our fingers, and you just want to gently glide in a downwards motion from between the middle of the forehead towards the temples. Nice, light, delicate touch. And we're moving toxins and waste within the lymph here, which is very close to the surface of the skin as well. And then under the eyes, where the bone is, nice light. I like to use my ring finger by the eyes because the skin around the eyes is very fine and delicate. So have a lighter touch with the ring finger. And then coming up from the jawline, all along, upwards, slightly up and outwards motion towards the cheekbone, heading towards the ears. And then thumb placed under the chin, fingers above, again as those hooks, and gliding along the jawline here. Again, we have plenty of lymph nodes in this area. And then with each side of the ears, gliding again, nice and light, where we have plenty of lymph nodes, and then behind the ears. And then with one hand at a time, just gently glide down the big SCM muscle down to the collarbone. And on the other side. And then for the final lymphatic drainage release, from the chin all the way down where our collarbone is here, just above, we've got some indentations, and I always like to finish off with this, really important. Just want to give those a few gentle presses. So I hope you found today's video useful. Please comment down below, tell me how you found it, and if there's any other fascia techniques you'd love me to share with you.